Now the thing is, okay, it's like every summer, some gorgeous trans woman ends up on the cover of a magazine. And then I would like here personally to thank Caitlyn Jenner for raising the bar, for setting the new benchmark. That's one of the things about coming out to myself and being myself, is I get to deal with all the stuff that cisgender women get to deal with. Isn't it wonderful? So, since I couldn't make it onto the cover of Vanity Fair or Time, I figured I could at least do this. The Enquirer, classic headline.
Not a wanted poster?
Is it a wanted poster? No. You know, the thing that I do have to say is that when I first started coming out to myself, and that was almost 12 years ago, when I actually said, yes, this is me, there was a woman who happened to see me telling stories at the Trans Unity Festival at the LGBT Center. I love LGBT. That looks like the sizing at Lane Bryant, you know, large butt. Any rate, her name was Melody Friend, and she's still around, and she's not here today, but she first introduced me to this community. One of the most profound evenings of my life was telling the story of Isis and Osiris at the Goddess Temple in Costa Mesa, and being accepted. And there is something wonderful about this entire community, has been so accepting of me and so validating, and et cetera, et cetera. Which, as well, you bloody well should be, so I'm okay with that. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for that. So as long as I'm dealing with this, okay, I wrote out the set list, and now I can't find the bloody thing.
I think because it's over here.
Yeah, so I think it's under, here it is.
It's under your acquisition.
This is also tons of fun when you get to be 63. If you're younger than me, this is what you get to look forward to. CRS syndrome, can't remember shit. All right, so as long as I'm dealing with the 300-pound gorilla in the corner. This is something I wrote a couple of years ago, and it's based on history, and I was in kind of an obstreperous mood when I wrote it. So, you get to hear me sing, and I do sing a cappella, traditional style, so forgive me if I make any mistakes on the way. Come sit by my side, ducks, and buy me a tooth, for the gin is most gone, I can't do without more. And I'll tell you my story, it's sad, but it's truth, oh, my name's Molly Garnett, they call me a whore. Oh, what if I am, why should I give a damn? For the likes of all them who do not but deplore. But I'll do you for 5, love, it's how I survive, love. I'm not much acquainted with shame anymore. Not for me the pleasures of wife or of mother, not a job in a shop, nor a cook, nor a maid. I'm shunned by my parents, my sisters and brother. The vicar my face in his church has forbade. Their curses held on me, the dogs set upon me. I fled in the night, up to London I strayed. And here in the stews and the taverns and gutters is where I was schooled and I mastered my trade. Oh, I worked in the shadows, back alleys and hovels. Each step of the dances of lust I soon learned. And I bought myself dresses, comb, slippers and baubles, and a warm place to sleep with the money I earned. And for gents at my care, for something more rare, and with them I repair, each man in his turn, to sample the treasures Ah, the dark secret pleasure the rest of old London would curse and would spurn. As some they would treat me, and some they did beat me. I lost my back teeth to a kick in the face, but I took what they gave me with no one to save me. For to go to the peelers meant more than disgrace. For alas, my sort had best not report, or to Tyburn they take her and hang her apace. Oh, a woman like me, sir, cannot be too free, sir, in whom she confides or whom she might embrace. Oh, I see by this light, sir, your face is gone white, sir, but I cannot see if you are fearful or mad. But I see your fist clenched, sir, the life for to wrench, sir, of poor Molly Garnett, who once was a lad. Well, you've leapt from your seat, now you're down at my feet, and your jaw and your shoulder are broken, I fear. Oh, me poor hands have grown, sir, as hard as a stone, sir, since prenticed I was to a smith for a year. Oh, I learned long ago that to live I must fight, sir. I cannot afford to be prim or demure. So I'll punch and I'll pound and I'll kick and I'll bite, sir. I've got to be strong if I cannot be pure. When the peelers do come, I'm sure you keep mum. You won't say you was beat by a Molly, I'm sure. This promise I give, sir, I mean for to live, sir. My name's Molly Garnett, and I shall endure. And while we're on the subject, during the administration of Grover Cleveland, there was this amazing person that was brought to Washington. She was a Zuni princess, and her name was Huehua. And Huehua was shown by, I cannot remember her name unfortunately, by an anthropologist to all the sectors of Washington society, and she was at so many parties, and so many people were so impressed with this woman's bearing and her wisdom and her just general grace. She was a little taller than they expected a Zuni princess to be, but nonetheless, they were so taken by her. She was the absolute toast of Washington. And then she went back to Zuni and was welcomed by her people because she was loved and revered because of the leader that she was amongst her people. Then one of the enemies of this particular anthropologist sent it about, spread it about. Do you realize that you people have been had, that you have been fooled, you've been duped? This person, that was a man in women's clothing. Well, in Zuni, no. In Zuni, Huehua was a leader, was a shaman, was a medicine person, and one of the wise people of her tribe. She was two-spirit. And among the Zuni, among the Navajo, among so many, the Ojibwe, the Onondaga, and so many other cultures throughout the world, those people who can cross that barrier were, and in many places still are, revered for their wisdom and for the knowledge that has been given to them by breaking that barrier. And so if I'm a little bit jealous of Caitlin, it's only because the bitch is 2 years older than me, and she looks that good. But and she has the money. Well, we can all share that jealousy. But what she did took a great deal of courage. What she also did was paved by so many people before her. And we are in a time, hopefully, or other people who are not considered to be of the norm can be seen not as freaks, not as abominations, but as for people who perhaps have been given a gift. It's a gift with a burden, but it's a gift. Oh boy. Now, this is one of the things that I have discovered. This is a portal to another dimension. They're in there somewhere. But as to exactly where they are, there's someplace really somewhere around the Pleiades, I know that. It's a TARDIS. It's larger on the inside than it is on the outside. And I could do this with an evening bag. You lose your keys in a very, very small purse. They just don't show up. They're hiding in there. Okay, so.
The fairies took them.
What you can do is you can take, the next time you have ribs, is let them dry out. I used to have a pair made of oak, but I like these. They ring. Annoy the neighbors, annoy your spouse. How do you do that? Well, just do the, inscribe an arc. That is the extent of my skills with these. But I like this story. It's a story of transformation, and it is also, I think, probably grew out of the story of Taliesin. But I like this one anyway. If you're old like me, you might remember Steel Eye Span. She looked out of the window as white as any milk. He looked in at the window as black as any silk. Hello, 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 you cold blacksmith, you have done me no harm. You never had done my maiden head that I have kept so long. I'd rather die a maid, but then she said and be buried all in the grave than to have such a nasty, husky, dusky, fusky, musky cold blacksmith. A maiden I shall die. And she became a hare on the plain, and he become the greyhound to fetch her back again. Hello, 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 you cold blacksmith, you have done me no harm. He never shall have my maiden head that I have kept so long. Oh, I'd rather die a maid, but then she said and be buried all in me grave than to have such a nasty, husky, dusky, fusky, musky cold blacksmith. A maiden I shall die. And she become a duck on the stream, and he become a water dog to fetch her back again. Hello, 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 you cold blacksmith, you have done me no harm. You never shall have my maiden, and that I have kept so long. I'd rather die a maid, but then she said be buried all in my grave than I have such a nasty, husky, dusky, fusky, musky cold blacksmith. A maiden I shall die. And she become a star all in the night, and he become a thundercloud to cover her out of sight. Hello, 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 you cold blacksmith, you have done me no harm. He never shall have my maiden head that I have kept so long. I'd rather die a maid, but then she said and be buried all in my grave than I have such a nasty, husky, dusky, fusky, musky cold blacksmith. A maiden I shall die. And she become a nun all dressed in white, and he become the parish priest to play for her by night. Hello, 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 you cold blacksmith, you have done me no harm. He never shall have the maiden and that I have kept so long. I'd rather die a maid, but then she said and be buried all in my grave than I have such a nasty, husky, dusky, fusky, musky cold blacksmith. A maiden I shall die. Oh, she become a corpse all in the ground, and he become the cold clay to cover all around. Hello, 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 you cold blacksmith, you have done me no harm. You never shall have my maiden that I have kept so long. I'd rather die a maid, but then she said and be buried all in me grave Then I have such a nasty, husky, dusky, fusky, musky, cold blacksmith, a maiden I shall die. You know when you want to do an Irish dialect, the thing you want to do is you want to put there's a bubble of air inside your mouth. And so you put the bubble of air up in front of the teeth. Now if you want to do Scots, you got to push it back up against the uvula. But to do Irish, you got to push it forward. Now, there was a freeholder in the land of Ulster. And one day he was out ploughing his lands. And he happened to look over a hill, and he saw the most beautiful white mare coming towards him. And he said, "Never in my life have I seen such a piece of horseflesh. Oh, indeed. Oh, indeed. I swear, thou art so beautiful. If thou art so beautiful, if thou wert a woman, I'd marry thee." And with the blink of an eye, the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen was walking down the hill towards him. She smiled at him, and he smiled back. And upon that very day, their hearts were plated. And she worked beside him in the fields. And she made him the most wonderful house. And the love that they had was more beautiful than any in Ulster had ever felt. And she became heavy with child. And in the 9th month of her heaviness, there came a proclamation that the King of Ulster was to have a horse fair, and that all freeholders were to come to enjoy themselves and to show off their livestock. And of course, this freeholder had to go. Well, he wanted to go too. And as he left the door, his wife said to him, "I know you must go, I know you must be with the other men, and I know you're Irish, but do not give in to your desires. Leave the whiskey bar alone. Do not drink anything. I beg you, do not drink anything." "Oh, certainly, darling. No, I promise I shall not touch a thing." And as with most of men's promises, that was remembered for about 5 miles as he walked. And as one does at horse fairs, he drank at that booth over there, and over at that pub over there, and the porter over there is particularly lovely. "Oh, and look at what they've got over here. Do you make that with peat, do you? Oh, that's wonderful stuff." And so he's drinking and drinking and drinking until finally he had lost some, if not most, of his judgment. And when the King of Ulster brought forth his beautiful black team of horses, he looked upon it and he said, "Oh, you call those horses? I've a woman 9 months gone with child at home can run faster than those." Now, the King of Ulster, this particular King of Ulster, was not known for his sense of humor, nor for his empathy, nor for, how could I say this, taking into consideration that the man was in his cups. And had the man brought in front of him and said, "What was it that you said?" "What? I just simply made a boast." "Well, what was the boast, sir?" The boast was I said that I had a wife 9 months gone with child at home who could run faster than your horses. "Guards, bring her here." And so she was brought, her 9 months belly and all. And cursing was she all the way, those guards that brought her. Have you no sense? Have you no sense of decency? Do you not see that I am 9 months gone with your having me even travelling? Then brought in front of the King of Ulster. "Woman, Your husband says that you can run faster than these horses. Sure, and he's the greatest idiot that has ever seen the face of the earth. Well, this is going to be proved. You are going to prove my husband's drunken words upon me. Have a care, King of Ulster. You know not with whom you deal. That may be false, that may be true, says the King of Ulster, but you shall run a race. And so they were brought to the course, and the flags went up, and I have no idea, there they are. The flags went up, and the horses shot out. At full gallop they ran. And the freeholder's wife after them, her red hair streaming in the wind. And wouldn't you know it? But when they got to the first turn of the course, didn't she pass them right then and there? All were dumbfounded, their jaws hanging down to their chest. But just as she came to the first turn in the course, the first pang of birth hit her, and she gave out a scream that was heard in all parts of Ireland. It was a scream that made the crops wither in the fields. She picked herself up, and she shot forward. And the king's horses were well ahead of her. But in less time than it takes to tell it, she was neck and neck with them again. At the second turn, that same pang hit her again. And again, she gave forth a scream that was heard in all four corners of Ireland and over into Alba, which is today Scotland as well. And the birds were petrified upon the branches. She pulled herself up again. And soon enough, she was ahead of the horses and came forth to the finish line. And as she went forth to the finish line, another great pain came to her. And she screamed again, and the water and the air and the deer in the fields and the fish in the sea all stopped as that scream went forth through all the world. And a midwife come from out the crowd, and there she brought forth two children, a boy and a girl. And with the blood still fresh upon her dress, she stood and took one child in each arm. And she turned to her husband and looked upon him. And he came forth from the crowd and took the children from her. She stood before the King of Ulster and she said, "King of Ulster, it is for your pride. What should have been done in my own bed has been done in front of everyone here. 3 pangs of birth I felt, and I put this upon you, King of Ulster. You and your men, at the time of any greatness, any attack, any emergency, any alarm in this country, you and your men shall lie 3 times the days as I had those pangs. 9 days shall you lie in the pain of birth. Whether the attackers come from Lachlan, whether the attackers come from Alba, whether the attackers come from Gaul or from Ireland itself, you shall lie, and you shall be defenseless." And she turned to her husband, and she looked in his eyes with a look of love and a look of the deepest reproach. And she turned away from him and away from all. And with a blink, they saw the most beautiful white mare they'd ever seen running back over the hill. And all and sundry knew who that was. That was the goddess Macha. And she was one of the 3 goddesses of war that make up the Morrigan. And that was her curse. And where those babes were born, there was a great hall built, and that was known from those days on as Even Macha, the hall of the twins of Macha. And it was many years later, when Connachar MacNessa was the king of all Ulster, and Maeve of Connacht had decided that she wanted a great prophetic bull that he had, and brought a huge army upon Ulster. That all of the Red Branch heroes, every single man who was of age, lay for 9 days in the pangs of birth. But there was one of them all who was not of age yet, but the greatest warrior of them all. He was the Hound of Cullen. Cuchulainn, or Cuchulainn, was his name. And until those other warriors were ready to fight, he stood against that army. At the ford of the river Methevne, one by one he fought them, until his comrades were able to fight. But that, in the great story of the Toynbee Cúnaí, is yet another story that I shall tell at another time. Do I have time for one more song? What? No, because Kat has to come up here and perform. And by the way, Kat Robb down here is going to be, after I'm finished, she's going to be reading her stories of Bunny Hotep, and she is wonderful.
Actually, it's the littlest
and
druid.
A dear friend, and she's videotaping me right now. So this is one last. Yeah. The song is probably from the 1300s, Scotland, but originally probably Iceland. And it's a story of magic and a monster and other neat stuff. And I got this version from a gal in the north of England. Her name is Faye Hild. And if you look her up, she's doing some wonderful, wonderful ballads and folk music right now. And so there is this kind of resurgence. I will leave you with this, by the way, before I sing the song. If you know the stories, pass them down to your children. If you, I next, as soon as I can, I'm taking that very camera and I'm going to be taping my dad, who is 89, next month. And I want to make sure that I have his stories of growing up on the banks of the Ohio River. When we lose our stories, we lose ourselves. And to maintain who we are, we hold on to the stories and the songs, and not the store-bought stuff. Until it goes into, well, there is some, like Camptown Races became a folk song, because somebody heard it, and then they went and made a sea shanty out of it. But on the whole, the stuff that we pass down has more wisdom, and has, well, it's the key to our inner selves. Any rate, I could pontificate forever. Remember stories, pass them on, and tell them to your kids and everything. Her mother died when she was young, which gave her cause to grieve and mourn. Her father married the very worst woman that ever lived in Christendom. She served her stepmother night and day in every way that she could do, until once in a fit of rage she threw her over the crag of the sea, saying, "Lie there, dove is a bow, and all my sorrows lie with thee." till Campowen do come to the crag and break the spell with kisses 3. Her breath grew strong and her hair grew long, twisted 3 times round the tree, and all the people far and near said, oh, what a savage beast is she, and all she cried for Campowen, and how she wished him near to her hand. And word is gone to Campowen that such a beast was in his land, and he has built a bonny boat, and he has put it on the sea. But ere he come a mile from the land, the beast has set the red fire free, and he has taken up his bow, he's aimed an arrow at her head, saying, if you do not quit this land, by this same shaft I shall shoot you dead. Oh, while I come forth from the den, though it is no for fear of thee, till Campowen, the king's own son, do come to the crag and kiss with me. Oh, I have a royal ring, so she said, that I found in the salt sea, and when your body it is undrawn, shall your blood never be, but if you touch me tail or fin, I swear this sword your death will be. He leaned him over Eastmore crag, from her tree she come with a swing. He stepped in and gave her a kiss, and the royal sword he is brought with him. Her breath was strong and her hair was long, twisted 2 times round the tree, and away she swam, and again she came, saying, come to the crag and kiss with me. Oh, I have a royal belt, she said, that I found in the salt sea, and when your body it is undrawn, shall your blood never be, but if you touch me tail or fin, I swear this belt your death shall be. He leaned him over Eastmore crag, from her tree she came with a swing. He stepped in and gave her a kiss, and the royal belt he has brought with him. Her breath was strong and her hair was long, twisted once around the tree, and away she swam, and again she came, saying, come to the crag and kiss with me. Oh, I have a royal ring, she said, that I found in the salt sea, and when your body it is undrawn, shall your blood never be, but if you touch me tail or fin, I swear the ring your death will be. He leaned him over Eastmore crag, from her tree she came with a spring. He stepped in and gave her a kiss, and the royal ring he has brought with him. Her breath was sweet and her hair cut short, twisted no more in the tree, and away she swam, and again she came, the bonniest lady that you ever did see. Oh, was it a werewolf of the wood, or was it a mermaid of the sea? Was it a man or a vile sorceress, my own true love that misshaped thee? Oh, it was no werewolf of the wood, nay, was it a mermaid of the sea? But it was my own stepmother, a cruel and a wicked woman is she. Oh, a weary spell is laid her on, her hair grow wild, her teeth grow long, and on her forelegs she shall go, evermore condemned to be, and in the wormwood she shall dwell. And from this spell she shall never go free. Karma. Thank you so much. It's a wonder. You're a wonderful audience. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And I've got some literature over there. Oh, and if you're at all interested in King Arthur and that kind of thing, I have as Anitra mentioned, I do a weekly web comic called Cologranant, and it's about, 3 guesses, a knight in King Arthur's court who is transformed into a maiden. But I've also found that I really love writing about Morgan Le Fay, but that's beside the point. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.